there again, Duchess just says, I still don't like the initial dancing was fine. It wasn't like I still think the whole thing's dumb, to be quite honest. I don't get it. I don't think it's particularly like interesting. I actually had a really, really great idea for something for like if you were a couple in the delivering room and you had like a dance you guys did together for your wedding to redo that like right before the baby's being born or something like that. I can kind of sort of get it. But this is just gross. Like she's literally basically flashing the camera the birth canal. Like this is just so undignified as a royal, so undignified. It's just again very very disgusting. And what I find fascinating though is that Meghan, I wonder, and this is just my thought based on the dance because I had somebody on X tell me that Meghan was just showing off her ethnic heritage here with this particular dance. And I noticed that this dance as well really seemed to rile up the Sussex squad again. And so I wonder if part of the point of this was to get that little cadre of people riled up again on her behalf. And I find that very like odd because it's like how is she demonstrating these particular things, her particular heritage other ways? Like let me know because I don't. But Meghan seems to she attracts the crowd who basically likes her in a lot of ways just simply because she the color of her skin and the identity she claims. And I think that some people because of this video that kind of reinforces that again. And it's just kind of sad in a way, but I also wonder too is that what's kind of crazy is that she's done this again. And she's attracted this audience, but was that audience or is that audience going to buy her merchandise? Because the problem is that this is a video that can, yes, attract younger people, but are these younger people going to turn into consumers for her? Because what she shows on her Netflix show is a very much a happy homemaker vibe. This is I'm clubbing vibe. So which one is the real Meghan? Now I've argued that this has always been the real Meghan. Meghan is classless and trashy. That's always who she's been. And so it's I think just reinforces that there's a lot of different identities and Meghan never sticks to one. And that's part of the problem of her brand because what could happen here is that Meghan does this sort of thing. Yeah, she attracts these people, but then she goes back to her regular content and then people aren't engaging anymore. It'll be fascinating to see. And I know some people are like, well, everybody must be horrified, but no, there's and granted, I would argue if people are impressed by this, then I would double check where you're landing on certain things. But it was just yeah, I find it very classless. So we do have Trina. Hey, Trina, twerking preeclampsia. No, just not possible. Yeah. And again, all of it does is raise questions about Meghan actually being pregnant. Now, you guys know me. I am not really interested in going down fully the surrogacy route. But is this weird? Yes. Do I believe maybe she the question is, which is interesting, is like, what is Meghan lying about? Is it the pregnancy? Is it the preeclampsia? What was she lying about? Because she was obviously lying about something. And I still feel like she was pregnant because she did gain a lot of weight. She really did. Like her thighs there look like a normal person's. Her limbs are so thin that she almost looks normal having gained the pregnancy weight. Her limbs are like stick skinny. So because of that, because of how stick skinny her legs are, she did gain a significant amount of weight. She was very heavy in the face. It took her a long time to lose all the weight post baby and everything. And so Meghan definitely gained weight. Now, when it comes to the surrogacy thing, and like again, I would agree with you, Trina, preeclampsia. I think that may have been a bit of like maybe it doesn't even make sense though, because she would probably have to be monitored for a longer period of time. And she left both of the hospitals pretty early. So I just think it's complete. I don't think that was true. Meghan has the tendency to sort of glom on to a story. So, anyways, I think that when it comes to Megan being pregnant, so when it comes to Archie in particular, the surrogacy there, guys, would have been almost impossible to pull off. And the reason is that the surrogacy laws in the UK are not like they are in the United States. Like the Kardashians, buy and trade kids all the time. That does not happen in other countries. We are one of the only countries, to our discredit, who allows basically like anybody to purchase a kid, basically. Surrogacy is almost like purchasing a child. Like some people that is not what they're after, but some people it is. It's an easy way to get a kid if you have enough money, is to buy a surrogate. So, anyways, I know some people will maybe disagree with that, but I I think that's important to point out. A surrogate in the UK would have had to not be paid. Number 1, they would have had to have volunteered. I think my understanding when I did initial research, and this has been a bit, is that the surrogate would be actually on the child's birth certificate when they were born, and the expected parent would have to actually adopt the child. So it would have been absolutely impossible to pull off. And I know people would talk about, well, they could hire one in the States and flown her over. Like, you're just getting into the realm of way, way, way too complicated and way, way, way too difficult for issues to come up. Now, when it comes to Lilibet, obviously, we don't know exactly the circumstances around a lot of that because it was still sort of the lockdown. So we didn't see Megan really that much. So in some ways, it was easier for her. They could have used a surrogate, but I just don't think that's the case. Again, she gained a lot of weight, really struggled to lose it. I've seen people defend the surrogacy by going, well, she used lactation pills to, that's why she had so much weight she couldn't lose. And I'm like, well, we're starting to get into the realm of working too hard to make all the pieces fit. The simplest answer is usually the correct one here, is that Megan had both kids. Now, what I'm also saying here, which is interesting, is that doesn't mean Megan did not use IVF, because I was thinking about this today, and I think this is exceptionally true. That because both of the kids, especially, are redheads, I think they used IVF for both times for the kids. And I think, especially for Lilibet, or Lilibet, that's how they call, again, it's so dumb. Just name her Lily, for Pete's sakes. They call her Lilibet instead of it's just so dumb. Anyways, what I think they did is I think they chose particular embryos with a boy and a girl, both with red hair, and definitely with a girl for the second child. I think that's what they did. I think that's 100% how things went about. And so that is my personal theory. So, yes, she probably used IVF. I would not be surprised at all. Many women her age do. And I imagine she also chose particular characteristics that she wanted for the kids. Because my mom has always gone, well, how did they get two redheads out of them? And I was like, I and I started thinking about it because I thought, oh, they could sex select Lily, but you can also choose this, like some of these other characteristics, blonde hair, blue eyes, those sorts of things. So Megan could go through and choose probably which embryo she wanted that had the characteristics that she desired for the kids. I think that's 100% very much a possibility. Yeah, that's where definitely we're going with Megan. The last bit I think about the twerking video that I wanted to get to, which is that we will be seeing a lot more of this type of content in the future. Because unfortunately, Megan has found out something that's been around for a long time, I guess, which is that sex sells. So she's going to be selling, I'm sure, more of it. So if we go to her Instagram here right now, she's up to 3.6 million. So she jumped quite a bit since releasing this video. Now, these pictures would not have done it. It was the video. And again, it was the video that attracted, I think, reinvigorated some aspects of the Sussex Squad crowd and those sorts of things, because they don't care about this. They don't care about this. Like these, maybe nobody really cares about this stuff in a lot of ways. This stuff was not moving people. And really, considering how much of an media footprint Meghan Markle has, that she still only has 3.6 is actually kind of pathetic. It's she's really struggling to gain. Now, granted, she did have a big jump, but if she goes back to her regularly scheduled programming, which is boring, banal pictures, she will not, I don't think, get as much attention. She tried this. She tried being, you could say classy, but of course, trashy wins. And the I would argue, this is my personal perspective, not trying to offend anybody, but if this sort of behavior is what attracted you to Meghan's page, I don't think the rest of it will appeal to you all that much. And that's sort of the problem with the audience that she's raised. Now, looking at this picture again, I know some people have mentioned how weird the bump looks. And in certain pictures, guys, it does look super duper weird, 150%. So here's my thoughts on it for what it is worth, which is that so there's probably a monitor strapped to her belly too, but it could have been a totally that she did this later, did this at an early appointment or something. So she could have done this as an earlier appointment. She could have done this like way early before being induced or something like that. So there's a lot of possibilities here for what she could have done or what she could have been doing and what she was trying to pull off, I guess. But I still think it's tacky. I still think it's low class. It's just really, really low class. Again, going back to the weirdness of her stomach, a belly monitor could be some of that. Obviously, she has jewelry. I mean, this could have been, guys, very, very early in the process. This was probably before being induced, just as they were getting in. This was obviously something well planned. And she could have been something she did later too. We don't know. I don't know. But I don't want to endlessly speculate on all of this. But there is an interesting question. Says Kim asked, do you think she'll lose her title because of this? So I don't think it should be because of this. What though we see is a pattern of undignified, unroyal behavior, undignified and unroyal relationships and causes and things that I think, because Harry and Meghan have no scruples, damage the reputation of the monarchy. And this is just another example of that abhorrent behavior, I think. So, for the future of the monarchy, I think it's important to consider that they be stripped because you cannot trust them to be royal and dignified or hold any sort of line. Meghan has, again, no scruples. She has absolutely no ability to like rein herself in. And so in so many ways she will do stunts like this all the time. We'll see more of this kind of thing because it was the only thing that gained her traction was this. And so she'll do more of these kind of things. And it will be interesting though to see if she does more like try to do family cutesy things that don't totally work. Or if she'll realize that, oh, the sex sells. And so I need to show myself being sexy. That is what sells. But it could be also too that some of the stuff just when you have such a identity that is constantly dinging backwards and forwards between different things, it's really hard for people to get attached to what you're trying to project because you're not consistent. You don't have a consistent identity. You don't have a consistent vision. You are literally all over the place. And people struggle to do that. But titles are definitely a good thing. So Kimberly B says, so Brittany believes the belly is real. I mean, it probably was. Again, I just don't like overly speculating on it. We'll never probably know. And people think, oh, wait, I see X, I see Y. There probably are also reasons or there's probably logical explanations that we just don't know right now. Again, the easiest thing to believe at this point, or the simplest answer is usually the right one, to be honest. I tend to find that conspiracy theories don't really always get anywhere. Now, there's obviously big questions about that because some people had speculated that Biden wasn't all there, and then we're told they were conspiracy theorists, and that was 100% correct. So can things like that happen? Yes. But people were reporting on what they saw and those sorts of things. And we had like concrete proof of what you could argue is a cognitive decline that some were choosing to ignore. We don't really have proof of a surrogacy. We don't have proof of a moon bump. We really don't. I know people are like, oh, that one video. Could she have, though, been patting her belly to make her look cuter while pregnant? Yes, 100%. But Meghan Markle is way, 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 way too vain to gain a bunch of weight. And I would argue she probably was right. She probably gained about 65 pounds and then struggled as long as she did to lose it because she's too vain to to do that. She's just way too vain. Stephanie Barrett says, Lady C and others in the UK haven't said it would be impossible to pull off. If so, they committed fraud on 15 countries, so illegal surrogate and circumventing birth laws wouldn't be above them either. Again, you're talking way, you're getting into the way too complicated. The easiest answer is usually the correct one. The correct one is Meghan Markle played games because she likes doing that. And given the complications of surrogacy and the challenges that would have happened, like you have to give birth in a hospital, like there are issues and those sorts of things. It would have been very much impossible to pull off, in my opinion, without admitting it. And they didn't. If you see that screenshot that says, something about Kensington Palace admitting the surrogacy, guys, it's totally fake. Totally fake. Also, like the one that Megan says F you or something from Instagram, also fake, people. It's also fake. Let's keep going. We do have Diz Fan here. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, I believe the children are real and both pregnancies were real. The question I have is, what is she lying about? Oh yeah, there 100% are things she's lying about. I'm sure. I have a strong feeling the preeclampsia might have been a lie. I mean, that dance might have been at a different time that she's not admitting to because she tends to do those sorts of things. Harry's not super bright, so he goes along with everything. And yeah. And what I will say too here is, and I like Carol says, goes with what can be proven. That is what I go. What can I prove and what can I disprove? I can prove that the issue here to me is that I find the surrogacy obsession to be a bit distracting. Go with, we know she mocked the queen. We know she's lied about, let's say, the racism allegations and some of the other allegations she made on Oprah Winfrey. Most likely she lied about it. We can probably prove that. We can prove, for example, that, when it comes to her Instagram, she's showing more pictures of Archie and Lily. You can't really prove, but it gives the strong indication that Lily is more important than Archie in the family. Just saying that's a possibility. So I tend to go with what we can prove rather than what we can disprove. We can prove that Meghan Markle lied to the press about when she gave birth. There are a lot of things that can be proved. The surrogacy can't. And I know people say, oh, she couldn't bend that way. She couldn't do this. She couldn't do that. Some of that could be true, but the human body is a magical, wonderful place. And so maybe you couldn't, but maybe she could. So I tend to go with that. It tends to just avoid something. I think it just avoids getting into a situation where you're just endlessly chasing your tail. That's the thing I try to avoid doing, is endlessly chasing my tail. What can we look at? Like the abhorrent twerking video, completely and utterly undignified as a royal. I can prove that on every level. Beyond that, you're just looking and you're speculating and using your magnifying glass to go, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look like. You might be right, but you could also be wrong. It's also just mere speculation. What can you prove? That's always what I'm looking at, is sort of things more on the proof spectrum rather than the endless speculation and going, well, this doesn't look right. That doesn't look right. But if I twisted this, it's just all circular logic. So I tend to go in a different direction. It tends to go well, so I stick with it. And I shall talk to you again very soon. Miss Pippa says bye. Can you say bye, Miss Pippa? Bye-bye.